Hello, I'm going to speak today about war and warning, and maybe I'd wanted to speak about more specific things and mention some specific burning hotspots on the map, but even to speak about the war conflict which we have in the east of our country. But this is not the point. This is only the aftermath of something that happened long and long ago, which is the creation of a war concept. Or, if to speak in more postmodernistic terms, a war construct. The truth is that this war construct has a lot of constituents, but the one that really stands out is hate and discrimination, because what else is war if not one gigantic act of hate and discrimination? This is very obvious on the global level, so the international level, but this is not the only war that there is. So this bigger construct consists of a lot of smaller wars, a lot of smaller and smaller narratives of war, which this bigger construct dwells upon. For example, have you ever thought how many figures of speech in any world language is related with military practice? That's the point to think of. Or have you ever thought how many beautiful ideas, even like such as love, so the notion that must be sacred for all the Christians and just all the people, all the humanity, that this notion as well is actually raped with such aphorisms as love is war and all's fair in love and war. And I know that the latter is a jab at Shakespeare, but whoever said that he was actually serious or that he meant it to be so? Nobody. And from this unhealthy sentiment about love flows another argument: tradition. Have you ever heard the whinings of anti-feminists about that we are all fanning the flames of war between the sexes? No? So this thing looks totally different when you actually look into this question, because the absolute opposite pops out. So this very tradition itself that is built on the predatory and prey behavioral patterns, that this tradition, this thing is filled with hatred and war and with the strive to prove and establish the supremacy and domination of one sex over another, even though ephemeral, even though just for oneself, but just to feel better than the other, but just to feel more moral, more righteous, more saint. Kate Millett looks into this question much deeper, and in her work Sexual Politics, which I recommend you to look in. And so, doesn't this basically look more like a war? No? Breaking it even into smaller pieces, not just between the sexes, but within the sex alone. So, hate. Richer men hate the poor, poorer men hate the richer. Decent women hate the indecent women, and indecent women hate the decent women, and it all starts with our childhood, when we all start bullying each other and calling names and everything. It seems like this war construct is the axis around which our whole unhealthy society oscillates. And so if we want to do something with the global level of the problem, it seems like we have nothing else to do but to cover all the levels and layers which are beyond it. So that's actually what I wanted to say.